He made a thoughtless, snarky comment about her mother as he left the apartment that morning. Jane was still stewing about it when she dropped little Elizabeth off at school. She was actually angrier about it than she was when it had first been said. She left the elementary school hunched over against a cold rain, splashing through muddy puddles, creating dirty ripples. She stopped at a coffee shop for a bagel and an Earl Grey, still in a foul mood. It was Samuel behind the counter, and in spite of his best efforts at friendly service and the rapport they'd established in the years she'd been a customer, Jane was short with him and took his tone as patronizing and condescending. She gave him no thank you and left him with a dirty look over her shoulder and no tip, which wasn't customary of her. Samuel took notice, and for him, it was the final straw. He and his boyfriend had been trying to decide whether or not to leave the city and its coldness, and Jane's casual dismissal of him was a deciding factor. He removed his apron not 5 minutes later and walked out. Samuel's manager, Trish, was at the end of her rope. Her father was in hospice care, unconscious, and moving closer to death every day. Worst of all was that he wouldn't wake again. Of this the doctors assured her. She had been relegated to the decider of his fate, fate being a relative term to describe how much longer she'd let a machine breathe for him. She was alone as her mother had passed 2 years prior, and she had no siblings. Her divorce was final just a year ago as well. Her husband and teenage daughter moved out of state, which was fine, she told herself. Just fine. Samuel's abrupt resignation was just the thing she didn't need. At home that night, once again alone, Trish had too much to drink, and that old call of the void proved a little too strong for her. Who would notice if she were gone? No one. That's who, she told herself. In this way, she wouldn't have to decide the fate of her father. She climbed out onto the fire escape, and after a final swig of vodka, pushed herself off the wrought iron rail and out into the freedom of the night air, falling. Jane's husband stepped from a cab a few blocks from home. It was still drizzling and traffic was at a standstill, and so he decided to just hoof it the last few blocks to the apartment building. He didn't even have time to take 3 steps, though, before Trish's falling body crushed them both out of this world.